Have you ever been part of a big, exciting project at work? You know, the kind that kicks off with a huge launch, tons of energy, and then just kind of fizzles out into confusion, delays, and a whole lot of frustration? Yeah, if that sounds painfully familiar, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into how the best organizations learn to tame that chaos.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get real about why change is so messy in the first place. Then, we'll introduce the strategic answer, the Change Management Office, or CMO. We'll break down its 6 core missions, look at a really practical framework it uses, and then we'll wrap up by helping you figure out where your own organization stands.
All right, let's start with the chaos of change. Because, let's face it, it's a universal experience in business, and you can't really solve a problem until you truly understand it. Seriously, just think about that for a second. Why do so many smart, well-intentioned, and strategically vital projects feel like they're just flying blind, hitting turbulence at every single turn? Do any of these sound familiar? You know the feeling, right? Teams are pushing back, not because they're being difficult, but because no one's really sold them on the why. You've got different departments pulling in completely opposite directions. Projects that were supposed to take 6 months are now creeping into year 2, just bleeding money. And through it all, nobody seems to be on the same page, so productivity just tanks. Look, this isn't a sign of bad people. It's a sign of a bad system for managing change. So, if the system is broken, how do we fix it? Well, that brings us right to our strategic solution, the Change Management Office. Okay, I know what your first reaction might be. Oh, great, more bureaucracy. But that's not what a CMO is at all. Think of it less like another layer of management and more like an air traffic controller for change. It's that central strategic function that makes sure all those different projects take off, fly, and land safely without crashing into each other.
Now, this is a really important distinction. A lot of people get these two mixed up. A project management office, the PMO, is obsessed with the how. Are we on time? Are we on budget? Does it work? They deliver the thing. But the Change Management Office, the CMO, is totally different. It's obsessed with the why and the who. Why are we doing this in the first place, and who needs to be on board to make it successful? Its whole job is to make sure that beautiful new system the PMO delivered actually gets used and creates the value it was supposed to.
So what does this air traffic controller actually do all day? Well, a really successful change management office is built on 6 core missions. Let's break them down. These 6 missions are really the heart and soul of the CMO. It's what turns it from a cool idea into a practical, value-driving machine. They cover everything from strategic alignment and stakeholder engagement to communication and measuring value. For this explainer, we're going to zoom in on 2 of the most essential ones. Mission number 1, and you could argue it's the most critical, is strategic alignment. This is all about making sure that every single change initiative, no matter how big or small, is directly pushing the company toward its most important goals. No more pet projects. And this table just perfectly illustrates the journey. At a low maturity level, you've got chaos, right? Everyone's just running their own little project in a silo. Then you get to partial, where maybe there's a list somewhere, but it's probably out of date. But at a strong level of maturity, this is where the CMO shines. You have a living, breathing portfolio of all transformations. And it's not just a list. It's a strategic tool that leadership uses to make real decisions, making sure every drop of effort is pushing the company forward. The second mission we're going to spotlight is number 3, and this gets right to the human core of change, engaging stakeholders. You can have the best tech, the most brilliant strategy, but if your people aren't bought in, it's all for nothing. This is about actively moving people from resistance to participation. The key takeaway here is that engagement is so much more than just sending a newsletter. It's about building a human ecosystem. It's finding those passionate key users on the ground who can be your champions. It's crafting a story about the change that actually connects with people. It's making roles crystal clear so there's no confusion, getting a respected leader to put their name on it, and maybe most important of all, listening. Creating real feedback loops proves this isn't something being done to your teams, but with them. So we've talked about the what and the why. Now let's get concrete and look at the how. We're going to walk through a really tangible framework that a CMO can use to structure a major transformation.
To do this, a CMO might use something called the Café Bullet Framework. Now, I know, it's a French acronym, but the principles behind it are totally universal. Think of it as a super practical checklist to make sure nothing important gets missed. Let's see how it works.
So the first half is café. C is for communication. Not just what you're going to say, but who needs to hear it and when. A is for the action plan, the real nuts and bolts of what needs to happen. F is for formation or training. What new skills do people actually need? And E is for équipe. That's French for team, which is all about defining who's going to drive this thing and support people through it.
Now, for the really big projects, CAFE isn't enough. You need bullet. This covers the tough, hard-nosed realities. B is for budget. How much is this going to cost? U is for unity of command. Who makes the final call? No ambiguity allowed. Then you have L for logistics and another L for deliverables, or deliverables. And finally, E is for evaluation. How will we actually know if we've won? This isn't an afterthought. It's something you define from day one.
Okay, let's bring all this home. We've seen what a CMO does and how it does it. So the last step is to turn the lens back on ourselves and ask, how ready is my organization to actually pull this off?
This quote right here, it perfectly captures the whole point. The end goal isn't just to manage one project a little better. It's about building a permanent muscle for change, making the entire organization more agile and ready for whatever the future throws at it.
So, where does your organization fit on this scale? Are you in that inexistent stage where every project feels like a chaotic one-off scramble? Or maybe the fragmentary stage, where some good things are happening, but they're scattered and inconsistent? Or have you reached that strong level where managing change is a genuine, strategic capability?
Really think about it. Understanding where you are today is the absolute first step toward building a more change-ready organization for tomorrow. So what's the one thing you could do next week to start moving your organization just one step up that scale?